Hello, my friends. Thanks for coming. I want to share with you the original meditation that I did on evil back in 1986. In the meditation, I was in front of an enormous figurehead. I asked this figurehead who he was. He says, I am Beelzebub, the fallen angel, the archetype of evil, and the model for everything that frightens people. I represent evil and wrongdoings on the human plane. For all intents and purposes, you could call me the devil, but I don't make people do bad things. I may present the bad things people might do here, but it's a matter of choice whether they take my suggestions or influence. It's a matter of choice whether people follow me or not. I cannot do evil because I'm not in the flesh. My place is to exist as the antipathy, as the Antichrist. A group might label some person the Antichrist, but I will not take human form. I'm very much near the enactment, however, of my influence on earth. So I asked, what is evil? And he said, evil is the diminishment or the destruction of energy on whatever level it is found. If energy can be gained, then energy also has to be able to be lost. Evil wastes energy, spins it off, transforms it in ways that are irretrievable to that energy system. Evil is a natural law. It simply has to exist in every manifestation at some point. Evil exists as the opposite force that must exist for the symmetry and balance in the universe. There are always two opposing sides, construction and destruction, and one does not exist without the other. On the earth, it is predominantly a matter of taking or wasting life that is your greatest evil. Your religions have focused on taking human life as the most obvious example, but just influencing another person with evil is immoral. Also, taking physical, mental, or spiritual energy away from a person for the purpose of destroying it is immoral. To sabotage or exclude any living thing's energy from its own integrity, its own flow, its own plan is evil. I asked, can you be more specific about this? He said, taking the life of something to eat it is not evil. This act transforms the energy in that plant or animal into another energy form. This is God's plan. You share your physical energy with every other thing, and they share it with you. It's only the wasting of that energy that is destructive and where the immorality lies. So to kill for sport is evil. The intent in killing that animal is not for transforming the accumulated energy in that animal into anything else. The intent is simply to destroy that energy. Killing to protect is not evil because the intent of the act was not wasteful. For example, when a woodchuck is killed to prevent it from destroying a food supply, the energy of that animal is released into its surroundings. When it is buried, its body decomposes to supply energy to other living things. The waste of non-living energy, for example, an oil spill in the ocean, is also immoral. Not only are other life forms killed as a result, but the accumulated energy taken from the earth is irretrievably lost to the system, never to be recovered. Now, the taking of someone's life, referring to euthanasia, who is prepared and self-willed to die in a positive attitude, isn't immoral. But the taking of a person's life who is not fully prepared to die is evil. That personality might have to spend a lot of energy to reorient themselves in their out-of-body state and continue on their path. A death like that might be so disorienting that the person may not succeed and be lost for all time. I ask, is there an innate capacity for evil in all human beings? And he says, yes, because you are all capable of fear. I am basically fear in your life. The so-called wrongdoings are because of learned fear. Truly fearless people are those who are safe and protected throughout their lives, particularly as children, who are taught not to be fearful. The capacity to do evil and the choice to do evil can be passed on to children because the influence of the parent is very strong. Parents who allow, admit, or commit evil acts procreate the evil, just as they procreated the children who then may create evil acts. This is what it's meant by the sins of the father being visited on the child. Evil is learned, and it's most often learned from parents. Evil can also be learned by a child from other parental figures when the child does not have strong support. A child can come under the influence of an evil person in what is called impressionable youth, and then mimic the one who is committing evil acts. The evil is thus passed on, much like a bacteria or a virus that would make you sick. The best way to avoid evil is to avoid contaminating yourself with evil. A person who had an evil influence in childhood or learned to know fear, learned of me, he means Beelzebub, and my possibilities. But if they are loved, purely loved, they can choose to overcome evil influences in the choices in their life. People who die in extreme fear might recognize and gravitate toward me in between lives. People who seek me out can find me. I'm available on the level of the human consciousness pool in between lives, where one is directing, redirecting, and choosing their next life experience. As a figurehead, I'm an example of the evil acts that can be committed on earth. People come and look at me like a sideshow attraction. Even just coming to view me, people learn to recognize evil. And at the same time, they can choose against it. There, one is free to come and go from my influence. I don't trick or entice people. I cannot exert any power over them. I cannot make anybody do anything. It is entirely their choice. And when they incarnate again, this fear may be more easily recognized when they are in a physical body again. If a person focuses on evil, acknowledges evil, or participates in evil, they will generate power in that evil. That person increases the power of evil and fear in their life. To the extent that they participate in destruction, they draw it in from other people and from the potential for destruction that I represent. This is how potential for evil increases in their life. So to avoid evil in other people is to avoid temptation. He says, evil is its own reward. There are not many people who in life take evil to the lengths and depths possible because it is inherently self-destructive. People who commit an evil act have within them the suffering of the act they commit. They experience that suffering, and there is no way of avoiding this. Often a murderer kills himself because he must experience the result of his actions. So evil is like a boomerang. What is sent out in intent returns in like intent. This is the law of the universe and is what is meant by your word karma. Evil destroys the evildoer. Eventually, at some point, when evil upon evil is committed in successive lifetimes, that person loses the mental and spiritual energy to function. They then become trapped in unenergized states that, for all intents and purposes, they cease to be able to make choices. They will never get back to God within what, and this is what your concept of hell really is. It is through committing evil acts that people descend. Destruction consumes and wastes energy, energy of the spirit, energy of God. In every level going out from God, some of the energy is not retrieved and does not get back. And God realizes this in sending itself forth. That is why there is more good on earth than evil. That is also why evil can only be propagated by individuals newly choosing to participate in it. I ask a lot of times you see people who are very destructive, say drug pushers, seem to be rewarded for their evil. Can you comment on this? He says the charade of physical life is not to be confused with the amount of energy drain on that person. Physical is a facade. It is not the reality or the purpose of your existence. Physical is only one way the play is acted out. That person's inner reality is much more in keeping with their chosen actions. Just as an example, someone who is spiritually elevated may have the facade of being someone who is disease-ridden and suffering very much, while someone who is evil in the process of spiritual descent may appear on the outside to be a much rewarded person. I ask, within our system, is there any way of retrieving that lost energy or reintegrating it? Beelzebub says, the power of goodness can overcome the losses in an evil act. If someone is trying to do evil to you and you love them and you forgive them, you will prevent energy from being lost to you, and you will also prevent that energy lost to them. So more energy is generated in an act forgiven than if the act hadn't happened at all. The nature of true forgiveness is to break the cycle of evil, to catch the boomerang before it goes back. You can definitely save someone's soul by forgiving them an act of evil against you. We can only look to one another to release us from the evil we commit. The person who commits evil in many ways is dependent on their victim. If the victim participates in the evil, much energy is lost to both the evildoer and the victim. If, however, the victim can forgive and send prayers, love, or good wishes to the person who has harmed them, the victim can reap many benefits from the situation in terms of spiritual growth and evolution and empowerment. This is what the parables of the lost talents and the prodigal son are all about. More advancement is achieved by forgiveness than if the situation did not exist at all. When Christ said, turn the other cheek, he meant forgiveness is a valuable opportunity for spiritual advancement. It is retrieved to the system and ultimately returned to God. I'm asking, the most evil person we all think of is Hitler. Beelzebub is saying Hitler had many lifetimes of evil leading up to that one, but that was his last and ultimate act. Those individuals that have a greater capacity for evil became leaders in his organization. They ceased to exist with him and will not get back to God. Hitler resonates the fear and evil. Oh, he resonated the fear and evil in a large number of people. He was striking a tone of evil. And the more he encouraged destruction, the greater the fear and evil grew in a large number of people. As a reality in a whole race of people, evil was so rampant in the psyche of the entire nation. It affected everybody in the world, not just the people who by their acts chose to participate in the evil. Remember, this is a dance, and you are all partners in the dance. Everyone on the planet at that time was affected by the evil being generated in that area. Great acts of evil, such as the Nazi movement, de-evolutionized the entire species and set it back. There is today an incredible energy drain that continues from those acts. If the Jewish people on the whole could get beyond this and forgive the German race, a drain on humanity on this planet would cease. In a realistic sense, it's something that should be worked for on your planet. Evil is a very large metaphor for what happens between neighbor and neighbor and between people within families. When you feel great hostility and revenge for such anonymous crimes, anonymous to you, you are buying into and feeding and enhancing the loss of energy and evil in the act. So it is good not to fall into the trap of revenge and retaliation. Evil is particular to your species on this planet. I am particular to your species, which is why I appear to you in a human form. I came into being when your species did. I am a figurehead, like all others that teach within this level. I interpret evil for people and show them ways of destroying energies that are particular to your planet. You do not come from God with this knowledge. You have to acquire it within this reality. A lot of people see humans as the only evil species, but it is more correct to understand that your species chose to enact the drama of good and evil. Evil is the opportunity for advancement as well as the opportunity for loss. And on the whole, participating in this duality of energy advances any species that chooses it. The concept of original sin was a choice to make the expression of creation and destruction possible in physical. Humans as a species had to have a very highly evolved consciousness to even admit this choice into their walking, waking existence. No other species on this planet has chosen to enact this particular drama, but there are many throughout the universe that have. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that meditation. And until I see you again, please be well and please be blessed. Thanks for coming.